Before we dive into today's episode, I want to name something. If you've been listening to this podcast for a while now, you might have noticed a shift. When I first launched this space, I was all about the practical tools of manifestation, the how-tos, the mindset shifts, the magnetic rituals. And those things are still sacred and important to me. But lately, something's changed. I've felt a deep call to show up more honestly, more raw, not just to share the polished, put together version of Ayelet, but to bring forward the full spectrum, the human parts and the holy ones, the messy in-process moments, the tender edges, the stories that don't always have a 5-step formula or a pretty bow. And this episode, this one touches a tender chord because it exposes an addiction that I carried for a long time. And yes, I say carried in past tense because I've thrown myself into the fire of transformation around it. And I'm claiming here publicly that as my new truth. This episode is about how this specific addiction pulled me out of presence and how it kept me from the most sacred place in my world, my family. And I have a feeling, a strong one, that many of you will feel yourself somewhere in my story. So let's get into it. Becoming a co-creator with the creator is your birthright. Together, we'll journey into your deepest authenticity. Because the more you align with who you truly are, the more effortlessly you call in the life that you desire and deserve. And most importantly, the more you step into your soul's highest purpose. Welcome to the Manifestation Method podcast, your #1 source for Kabbalistic manifestation. Here we combine the ancient wisdom of Kabbalah, modern psychology, and quantum physics to help you achieve real, tangible manifestation results with my proven Abra method. I'm Ayelet Polonsky, and I'm here to guide you on your journey of manifesting a life that is aligned, expansive, and deeply connected to your highest self through the sacred energetic mechanics of Kabbalistic manifestation. To learn how to use Kabbalistic manifestation to transform your life from the inside out, go to ayeletpolonsky.com or download the Manifestation Method app. Let's open the gates of manifestation together. Welcome back to the show, the Manifestation Method podcast. Today's episode is about happiness, but not the Pinterest version of happiness, not the highlighted reel or what you all see on social media. This episode is the real, soul deep, often messy, raw, and humbling type of happiness. It's the kind that surprises you when you least expect it, in the most ordinary moments. But before we get there, let me tell you a story. For years, and I mean years, I lived under a quiet illusion. It looked really beautiful from the outside. I was showing up for my clients, holding space for people, coaching, creating, building community, making magic, sharing tools, answering questions, lifting others. And all of this really came from my heart, from a real, genuine place of service and helping people. And the truth is, I am really good at what I do. And that felt good. It felt really good. Every time I received a message or a DM, every time someone told me, "You changed my life," my brain would light up like a Hanukkah menorah. The dopamine, the reward, the achievement, the connection. It was addicting. And because I genuinely care about people, it felt like love. It felt like meaning. It felt like bonding. It felt like belonging. But here's the thing I didn't realize at the time. I was giving away every drop of my presence. All day long, my nervous system was pulled in 1,000 different directions. My energy, my availability, my heart constantly turned outward. Energy being pulled from inside of me out of me, and I was letting it happen, and it was nobody's fault besides my own. And I convinced myself in those moments that people needed me, that I had to keep going, that if I didn't respond right away, something bad would happen, or worse, I'd no longer be valuable. And it felt good to be needed. It felt safe to be validated. It felt like purpose. But what I was experiencing wasn't real, authentic joy. It was counterfeit pleasure. And that hit me like a lightning bolt. It wasn't until a coach of mine that I was working with used those exact words, counterfeit pleasure, that I felt the ground fall out from under me. My whole heart shattered. Because in chasing this illusion of joy, I had missed the abundance of joy that already lived inside my own home. And by the time my kids would get home from school each day, I was tapped out. My nervous system was fried. My sacred inner space had already been occupied by the outside world, by notifications, questions, needs, expectations. And I wrote it off as this is normal. This is just what every mom experiences. And while that may be true, something in this transformation met me in a place that it was time and it needed to happen, right? Because when the people I loved most walked through my front door, what was left for them? A shell of me, a woman that was physically present, but emotionally elsewhere. And I missed it. I missed the tiny fingerprints on the dining room table. I missed the puddle jumping in the backyard. I missed the breathless giggles over chasing a butterfly. I missed the quiet, ordinary miracles. Ultimately, I missed my life, the one that was unfolding before my very eyes. And what was even more heartbreaking was I missed being in love with that life. And that moment cracked me open. I really had to get disgusted with the old pattern. I had to get to a place where the thought of responding to every single ding that my phone let off, responding to every message and thinking that every single person needed me right then and there, I had to get to a place where that tendency made me sick, right? That version of me was constantly reaching for her phone, not because she wanted to, but because she did not know how not to. So I had to confront the truth that I had been abandoning my presence, and with it, abandoning the happiness that was right under my nose. And that's when I made a new decision, a conscious one that said, no more. So I committed to what I now call the sacred pause. It was simple, but it changed my life and it changed my family's dynamic. So now, as a result of the sacred pause, when a message came in, instead of rushing to respond, I paused. I felt the tug. I felt the ache. I felt the pull to be needed, the familiar itch of just check real quick, and then get back to what you're doing. But this time I didn't abandon myself. I stayed. I paused. I didn't respond. Instead of responding right away, in the pause, I asked my body, are you a heck yes or a no right now? Because if you are not a heck yes, a full-bodied heck yes, you're a no. And that's okay. And at first, this repatterning in the sacred pause was a bit uncomfortable. But after a few days of honoring that pause, of choosing presence over performance, something inside me cracked open again. But this time it wasn't heartbreak. It was inner peace. It was spaciousness. It was empowerment. The space between the notification and the response turned from tension into freedom. I didn't need to respond to everything all the time. I didn't need to grab my phone and swipe and scroll. I didn't need to anymore. And that felt like freedom. I felt confidence in myself, that I was still enough, even in stillness. And I felt trust in the world, that nothing was falling apart without me. The world still turned, even if I didn't respond to people right away, right? And then the magic moment happened. I began to hear it. I heard my kids laughing. Loud, chaotic belly laughs echoing through the house. And not because something extraordinary happened, but because they were alive and life was happening. And I was there, really there, heart open, phone down, eyes soft. And I realized this is happiness. Not the rush, not the achievement, not the likes or the dopamine hits. Happiness was right here all along, in their voices, in the sunlight on the kitchen floor, in the imperfect, unfiltered, everyday magic. So, what is true happiness? It's not a destination. It's not something you achieve once you've healed enough or manifested the next big thing. Happiness is presence. It's aliveness. It's choosing to slow down enough to feel what's already here. And so how do we get there? Well, we do what I did. We create conditions for it. We put the phone away so that we can be present with what is. We protect our inner world. We build a relationship with our body and our truth. We take a sacred pause. We take a breath. We listen. We allow the emotions that are to be. And we reclaim the parts of ourselves that we've scattered across the internet and the expectations of others. Because ultimately, you don't need to earn your joy. You are joy. You are the embodiment of joy. You are joy manifested. And you don't need to seek happiness outside of yourself. Happiness has always been there all along, waiting for you to simply return home. So then let me share something that might feel a little uncomfortable at first, but will really liberate you, I believe, if you truly let it sink in. And that is that the relentless pursuit of happiness is often the very thing keeping you from it. If you were to ask me, Ayelet, are you happy? I'd respond with, yes, I am happy. But if you followed that question up with, do you feel happy all the time? I'd give you the most honest human answer that I have. And that is, no, not all the time. Because to me, happiness isn't a constant mood. It's a deep inner alignment. It's a quiet yes between me and myself. It's presence. It's feeling connected to my values and rooted in my truth and at peace with the moment that I'm in, even when it's imperfect, even when it hurts, even when nothing looks the way that I thought it would. Happiness isn't always about feeling good. It's about knowing that who you are right here, right now, is enough. And that is something I can say yes to. Because see, we live in a culture, especially in the spiritual wellness and self-help world, that is obsessed with feeling good, right? There's this quiet, glittery pressure to be high vibe all the time, to manifest from a place of pure joy, to meditate and affirm and align and hustle our way to eternal bliss, whatever that means. But here is the truth, and I really invite you to hear this with your whole body. Happiness is not a permanent state. It is not a place you arrive. It is not a sign that you're finally doing life right. It's a passing emotion like sadness, fear, frustration, or awe. It moves through, and it's meant to. But the thing is, when we cling to it, when we chase it, or when we make our measuring stick for success or spiritual growth about happiness, then we fall into what psychologist Dr. Russ Harris calls the happiness trap. And here's what happens in the trap. We start believing that if we're not happy, then we're broken. That if we're triggered, then we're off the path. That if we're feeling an uncomfortable emotion, then we must not be aligned. Or that if we're angry or tired or disillusioned, then we must be failing. So what do we do about this? What do we do as a response to this illusion, right? We start pushing away the parts of us that feel hard or messy, right? We start numbing with our phones. We overgive in our work. We meditate to bypass instead of to integrate. We become addicted to performance, the illusion that we're okay as long as it looks like we're okay on the outside. We lose touch with our humanity in the name of chasing a high that's never sustainable. But here's the real medicine. You don't need to feel happy all the time. You need to feel alive with all of what being alive comes with. You need to be present, rooted, and connected to what matters most to you. And this is what acceptance and commitment therapy teaches. And it aligns so beautifully with the work I do in manifestation and healing. It looks like instead of trying to avoid or control your emotions, you learn to make space for them. You allow the discomfort to be there without judgment. You stop resisting your reality and start creating a new one by meeting yourself honestly. You clarify your values and what actually matters to your soul. And then you live in alignment with those values, even when it's inconvenient or vulnerable or uncertain. And from that sacred pause, from that place, you experience something deeper than happiness. You begin to feel meaning. You begin to feel wholeness. You feel a sense of quiet joy that comes from not needing to escape yourself anymore. Not because your life is perfect, but because you're present for your life as it is. That is the antidote to the happiness trap. And that's what so many people, especially women, are craving right now. Not another 5-step formula, not another bypass, but permission to feel, to be, and to live fully as you are. So if you've been telling yourself, I just want to be happy, try asking yourself this instead. What would it feel like to live a life that's true? To let all of you belong here, even the parts you've pushed away. Because the truth is, your sadness is sacred. Your frustration is feedback. Your longing is holy. And your joy, real, embodied, earned joy, isn't a reward for being perfect. In fact, it's the natural outcome of being deeply, unapologetically present. That is happiness. Not the glittery vision, but the grounded one, the one you were born to feel. You know, people come to me all the time when they're just beginning their coaching journey. And when I ask them the simplest, most direct question, what do you want? The answer is almost always the same. I just want to be happy. I just want inner peace. That's the heartbeat of it. And I get it because I've said those same words myself over and over again for years. But then I ask the follow-up question. What do you think will make you happy? And 98% of the time, their answers sound like, I want the husband, I want the wife, I want the children, a beautiful home, financial abundance, the freedom to travel, the first class seats. And I do want to make one thing clear. I am by no means against any of those things. I love comfort. I love beauty. I love being able to afford convenience and luxury when it's aligned. And there's nothing inherently wrong with wanting these things. Desire is not the problem. Desire is sacred. But here is where it gets tricky. What if what we think will make us happy isn't actually the source of true fulfillment? What if the very things we're chasing, even the most beautiful ones, are not the root of happiness, but rather a projection of it? What if these things are indeed counterfeit pleasures? And let me go deeper to explain really what I mean by that. A counterfeit pleasure is something that looks like it will satisfy you, and maybe temporarily it does, but ultimately it leaves you emptier than before because it distracts you from what's real. And counterfeit pleasures are super seductive, right? They work on the brain's dopamine system. They trigger momentary highs, brief escapes, feelings of arrival, I've arrived, but they don't actually nourish the nervous system. They don't actually create peace, and they don't offer you intimacy with yourself or the people that you love. And most importantly, they are transient pleasures. They don't last. And so if you're anything like me, then maybe, just maybe, what you're really craving beneath all the noise is not another milestone or manifestation accomplishment. Maybe what you're actually longing to manifest is space. And not just physical space, but internal spaciousness. The kind of space that exists when your nervous system is calm, when your mind is no longer cluttered with the voices of other people's expectations, when the armor around your heart finally softens and lets love in. When you can sit in a moment, just a single ordinary moment, and actually feel it fully. Not perform it, not try to capture it, but live it, be in it. And so since letting go of counterfeit pleasure and choosing the real thing for myself, something profound has shifted, alchemized, right? Now, for example, when my husband catches my eye in the kitchen, in that quiet, unscripted moment where he's just trying to connect, I no longer flinch. I don't pull away. I'm not anxiously checking my phone or rushing off to the next more important thing. Because let's face it, there is nothing more important than this. Now I can hold his gaze, fully present, fully here, because I've finally come home to myself. And that is sacred. And according to research in positive psychology, true happiness is not found in external acquisition, but rather it's rooted in presence, purpose, connection, and meaning. In fact, studies show that up to 50% of our happiness is determined by intentional activity, how we choose to engage with our lives in the here and now. And only 10% is influenced by circumstances like wealth, appearance, material success. So what this means is that the majority of your happiness is not coming from the new house or the upgraded airline seat. It's coming from how you relate to your life, to yourself, to your breath, to the people who matter most. So what if, instead of chasing more, you cleared space? What if the most radical thing you could do right now is not add to your life, but subtract? And not in a way of punishing yourself, right? Not to be minimalist for the sake of image, but to create a sacred stillness inside of you. A stillness that allows you to remember that your joy is already here. Your peace is not in the next thing, in the next outfit, in the next night out clubbing, right? Your happiness isn't out there. It's this moment when you can actually be in your life, not performing it, not rushing through it, but feeling it. And maybe, just maybe, that's the real manifestation. So today I want to offer you this. What would happen if you honored your own version of this sacred pause? What if you stopped chasing and started choosing? What if your happiness isn't in the next notification or the next shopping spree or the next achievement, but right here in this very breath? I love you, and I'm in this work with you fully. If this episode struck a chord with you, please do me a favor and share it with someone who you think could hear this message or needs to hear this message. Let this message reverberate to the outer edges of the world, because now more than ever in the generation that we live in, where everything is moving at an accelerated pace and we are so incredibly overstimulated, what the world needs now more than ever is that sacred pause, is true, authentic connection, not counterfeit pleasure. Thanks so much for listening. I love you. Here's to your rising. If you enjoyed this episode, let's keep the conversation going inside the Manifestation Method Portal app, your #1 destination for Kabbalistic manifestation. Inside, you'll unlock the secrets of manifestation through my proven Abra method, rooted in Kabbalah, psychology, and quantum physics, designed to help you manifest real, tangible results from the inside out. Join our global community of manifestors, explore our signature courses, monthly live manifestation workshops with me, Ayelet, and access our transformational hypno activations and attunements to rewire limiting beliefs and align with your soul's purpose. The app is available now on the Apple App Store and Google Play. To sign up, head over to ayeletpolonsky.com. Becoming a co-creator with the Creator is your birthright. Let's manifest the life you desire and deserve together.